Well, we're in for a treat today. We're off from about a mile out of Portishead near Bristol, and we're walking towards Black Nore Lighthouse. Now, this is a lovely little lighthouse. It's actually been preserved. It's a Grade 2 listed building now. It was decommissioned in about the 2000s, I believe, but was built in 1894 with lots of cast iron, and it's an unusual sort of skeletal construction at the bottom, and then an observation platform and balcony at the top. You can see it really well from down here on the beach. And fantastic news! It's got its original optic. The lens, this really what I wanted to see, and I'll show you it later, has been returned to it as part of the sort of preservation outfit that have been looking after it. The volunteers, Trinity House, I believe, who own the land, have let them have the lens back. So it's fantastic to be able to see a Fresnel lens, and we'll talk about that later. But it's a brilliant bit of engineering, a Fresnel lens. It's spelled a bit differently. I think it's because of it's French spelling, so it's got an S in it, but it is pronounced Fresnel apparently, so I'm told. Anyway, here we are looking at the Severn Estuary. The lighthouse originally was commissioned to provide navigation. It's not needed anymore, obviously with better lighting and up and down the estuary and modern technology. It's not needed as a lighthouse, but it provides useful service. Originally it was gas lit, and you can still see, I think, a pipe going up to it. I assume it was a drainage pipe, but I think that was the gas feed for it up until 1940, and it had an occulting sort of pattern, which meant the light was on more than it was off, and it sort of pulsed 20 times a second, unlike a flashing light, which is the light's only on for a short period of time. A new rotating optic was installed in 1908. The rotating nature of that caused it to be able to flash twice every 10 seconds, so giving the distinctive lighthouse pulse. Its drive mechanism was mechanical, and the Ashford family, who owned the land, used to wind it until 1941. And the Fresnel lens is just a clever bit of physics and engineering. We'll see it in a minute, and I'll zoom in. It's a way of creating a much powerfuler lens with a lot less material. The original concept, they realised they could chop out the middle of a lens. There's some fantastic links on YouTube to see how these actually work, but they effectively create remove the mass you would need to produce a huge lens like that by having those striations. And I remember as a kid watching, with absolutely fascinated by people changing bulbs in lighthouses and seeing these beautiful, strange glass optics. Well, that's the Fresnel lens, and there it is in there, the double biform type lens there that used to rotate and provide a light, because it uses the parallel, turns the light into a parallel beam. 15 miles this could be seen from. So a really great bit of engineering, and fantastic to see the lens in it. How wonderful that they've let that go back in it. Wouldn't it have been shame if that was sold off somehow, or kept in a museum somewhere? It's right where it needs to be, in the lighthouse. Interestingly as well, it's a tapered lighthouse, isn't it? If you look at the construction, it's tapered. So that in itself is quite complex, isn't it? It's not just some real sort of engineering gone into this. The lighthouse is about 36 feet high, but placed on this sort of big outcrop of rock and I guess granite, it probably would have had quite a bit of height. I mean, it looks pretty imposing, even though it's not the world's largest, but it certainly stands out from a good distance. There you are, and it's got a handsome thing. There's that tapered sort of style. Isn't it beautiful? I'm so glad it's been preserved. It's well worth the trip. It's about a 20-odd mile trip for me to see this, but worth every mile. So just to round off then, thanks to Augustin Jean Fresnel, who invented this compact lens that has probably saved 1 million ships over its lifetime. He invented it in the late 1700s, early 1800s, and it's still in use in lighthouses today and other things as well. Hey, look at that. Absolutely solid bit of cast iron. If it is hollow, it's very thick sectioned. Fresnel lenses are also used in things like traffic lights, overhead projectors, remember those? A really smart use of physics. Anyway, I'll put some links below for some other YouTube videos that really describe it well. Cheers for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe should you wish to.